Hi, this is Andrei Osachuk, and I welcome you to another video training on Analysis Workspace in Adobe Analytics. Today you will get to know how to count days between two dates and how to visualize them in Analysis Workspace in Adobe Analytics. What you can see on the screen now is the result of what you will learn today. And these are different visualizations that I will show you how to prepare in Analysis Workspace. But first, let's talk a little about the use cases. Why you really want to count days between two dates. Probably the most frequent use case for that is when you do campaign performance analysis or reporting. So imagine that there is something that started in the past and is going to be finished in the future. So basically this is a limited number of days for this particular activity. Imagine that you ran a media campaign somewhere in May and this campaign is going to be finished in July. Every time you open this project to get some idea about the performance or to send it to your internal customers, your colleagues, they also want to know where you are at the moment inside that campaign date range or length. And you always need to know that, for example, okay, this is already started, or it hasn't been started yet, or it's already finished, or you are somewhere in the middle. In addition to that, if you remember one of my previous video trainings where I explained how to incorporate targets in Analysis Workspace, and this is for me basically one of the key best practices that I usually tend to follow. When you analyze your media campaigns, you always want to compare your actual performance versus your target numbers. And in this particular use case, we have 39 days passed from the beginning of the campaign and 50 days left till the end of the campaign. So now if you had the target number and the performance or target achievement was about 50%, we would interpret that as we already overachieving the result or potentially overachieving the result, because 50% target achievement while we have the campaign activated for less than 50% of its length, it's already a very good result. So all your colleagues and you also may have lots of different activities, and this is why you will work with different reports in parallel, and you always will have a good indication how many days have passed and how many days left. Also another use case is A/B tests or experience targeting activities within Adobe Target. So for example, if you run an A/B test, you always need to prepare an estimate in advance to know for how long this test is should be run. And in addition to the description that you want to add that, for example, this test will have to be run for example, 45 days, you always want to add some more context about how many days have passed and how many days left. So this is a good example where or when you want to show a counter for dates to show the progress. So hopefully this is enough for this introduction. Hope you understand the purpose why you may want to visualize date counter. And if this is relevant for your work, if this is interesting for you, stay tuned and I will explain and show you how to build that in Analysis Workspace. Okay, as usual, I will start with a free panel to show you the full process from scratch, and hope this is a good approach to learn. Also want to remind you that if you haven't watched my previous trainings where I explained the basics of Analysis Workspace, please do so, because in this training I'm not going to explain the basics. Also, one of the best practices to learn is to first watch this video training and after practice. If you don't practice, you won't get practical skills. But I hope that those of you who watch this training want to be professionals, advanced users, and this is why please do the exercises afterwards. Spend some time and do the exercise. Only in this case you will get practical skills and you will be able to repeat it on your own without any further guidance. Okay, as usual, I will call it somehow that it will be clear for me and for my colleagues that I'm going to share this project with. So they counter, for example, and in our exercise, let's add a description that there was a, for example, media campaign. Always add some objectives. This is good self-explanatory way, but here I will just add that this media campaign started, for example, on 15th of May and will end, for example, on 3rd of August. In your case, obviously, the dates may be absolutely different ones. Okay, so what we really need to do now, let's set the date range for these dates. So it will be from 15th of May till 3rd of August. Now the next question is how we can count the days. So for example, if I add the day dimension to the Freeform table, I will see all the days that are for the date range that I specified. However, this doesn't answer the question how many days in between two dates. And this is probably the biggest challenge for everyone who haven't faced this task. And I'm going to show you one of the ways how to achieve that. There are many various ways, but today I'm going to share my preferable one that I hope will be helpful for you as well. So in general, the very first thing that I want you to look at is that number 81. 81 is actually number of rows in the Freeform table that we've built. And 81 rows is actually the number of days between 15th of May and 3rd of August. Because in our Freeform table, one row stands for one day. And now the question is, how we can capture 81? So it's not so obvious because usually when you do the visualizations, you map the visualizations to cells. For example, we can map it to a number of occurrences or other metrics if we have them in the table. But it's not clear how to map this to 81. And there is a way how you can do that. We just need to add a new metric, and that metric should return us the number of rows for each row. And let's do that. So we will click on the plus icon next to the metrics to open the calculated metric builder, and here we'll be using the functions. Also want to say to everyone who is just the beginner that functions may not be available for you because this capability depends on the license. So if your license doesn't include this capability, you will not see this block, these functions. But hopefully, if you have this in your license, you will be able to leverage them. So what we need to look for is the function which is called row count. Row count is the function that helps you to count rows in the Freeform table. This is exactly what we need. And I will call this metric as day counter. Obviously, this is not the day counter, but in the context of its usage, it's always better to have its name to be self-explanatory. This is why I call it this way. But obviously, you can call it the way you want, but I will keep it as is. So day counter. Now, let's add this metric to our Freeform table and see what result we will have. I will even open this. So the day counter now shows 81 for every row. And this is exactly what we really need, because now we can map any type of visualization to any of the cell in this table and we will get the right result. So for simplicity, I have limited the number of rows to 1. And even in that case, we don't really need this row, because we can always map the visualization to this cell, to the total number. As this number matches the one that we need for our visualization, we will just be using this because it will be much easier. So let's add the visualization. For the visualization, I will be using summary number visualization, where I can show this number. So I will select the cell and will quickly lock selection, so that afterwards, if I change something within this table, the number of total days won't change. And I also want to make it a little bit cleaner, and I will disable the legend. So now I have only the number. And let's see, it will be total days 81. All right. I will also rename the Freeform table. And I don't need it anymore. So now we have total number of days. The next part in this training will be dedicated to the exercise for getting the number for the days since the campaign was activated. So we just need to count the number of days from the start. In our case, this will be 15th of May till today. Today is 8th of June, and we need to count the number of days for this period of time. So how to do that? In this case, we will need to add another Freeform table. And let's add again the day counter to this table. We will see 81. However, at the moment we have 81 rows because these rows are aligned with the date range that we set for the panel. But in reality, we need another date range. This is why we will add another date range using the custom date range capability. So let's create a new date range and set it up the way that it will start on 15th of May. Oops. And it should end of current day without any changes. So today it will be from 15th of May till June 8. Then if you ran this project yesterday, it would show you 7th of June as the end date. So it will be dynamic date range, which is especially important for the purpose of our task. And I will add it, I will call it as 15 May 2009 till today. I think this is self-explanatory. This is good. You also basically want to add some description that, for example, this is used for campaign ABC. Sometimes you even want to add this as a title, but decided the way that will be more convenient for you. So I'm just going to save it. And what we now want to do is to add this custom date range to our table and replace the date dimension. So now we have it added, and we see that the day counter is currently showing us 0. And this is logical because there are no, let's say, dimension values that this function can count. And now we will break it down by the day dimension. And there you go. Now you see the numbers, but they still show 81, which is actually not what we want. The trick here is the following one. The trick is you need to update the setting of the time dimension. Click on the gear icon and uncheck this box, and you will immediately see 25. 25 is exactly what we need. So now we can map a visualization to 25, and this will show us the number of days since the beginning of this media campaign. So let's do this. I will add another summary number visualization. We'll map this visualization to the cell with the value that we want to show. We'll lock it, we'll update it to remove the legend, and now we have number of days since start of the campaign. So 25. The next part of this training is to help you to understand how to build a similar number, but that number should show us the number of days till the end of the campaign. So you may wonder how to do that. Maybe you already have some ideas, but let's do this together. So we'll add a copy of this table just to have another template. This will be days left. And the mechanic that I will be using is pretty much the same, but instead of having a custom date range from the beginning till today, I will need to create another one that will be from today till the end of the media campaign. So as usual, we will go to custom date range builder and we'll set up another one. So this time it will be set to start of current day, basically today, and end of it will be fixed day, which is August 3rd. Right. So now every day it will be dynamically updated, and this is exactly what we need. So I will call it today, 3rd of August 2019, and we'll save it. This time I will just move this plate and replace the previous date range in the second freeform table. And let's see what will happen. So, sorry, not to replace, but to replace the whole dimension area. Okay, I need to first delete everything and then add this dimension to the table. And let's break it down by day. And now, as you see, we have 56, and this number is referring to how many days left till August the 3rd, from today till August the 3rd. And now what we need to do is just to add another visualization, and we will map it to the new table. And I will select the cell and we'll lock the selection, and we'll also rename it. Just a few manipulations to make it cleaner. And now we have achieved another intermediate goal, and now we have total number of days, since the beginning, and days left to the end date of our media campaign. The next part is to show you a few other visualizations that you may want to use to represent 25 and 56 values in your Analysis Workspace. The visualization that I want to show you today is called Bullet, and as you see, it's mapped to the days since visualization, our table, source table, and currently it shows us 25 as a green horizontal bar that stands for how many days have passed. And if you want to show a progress, it makes sense to update it a little to show also total number of days for this media campaign, which we already know, and this is a static number, so we don't need to somehow make it dynamic. This is why we can go to settings and set it, for example, here as a mid goal to 81. Actually, the difference between high goal, mid goal, low goal is in our case this is the different color, so we can always set 3 numbers, but for our purpose it's not needed. So for example, I can set it with a lighter color if it's something that you prefer, or I can set it with a more darker color. I prefer to set this visualization the way that you either set mid goal or low goal, so that vertical line will stay on 0. So in this case, for me personally, it's easier to read. If I want to use this visualization specifically to show the progress of how many days have passed since the start of the activity, I also will get rid of the legend and will call it probably progress, or you can call it the way you want. So, and how to read it, green bar shows us how many days have passed, and the other area stands for how many days left till the end of this activity. So if you like this, you can obviously use it. I will also lock this selection to make sure that it will not change if I play with the freeform tables. And if for some reason you also want to add the same visualization type to show how many days left, you can also do that. Just remap it to the days left freeform table. And in this case, I would get rid of this configuration, and now it just shows us 56 as a green bar, and we can also call it days left. So if you like it, you can use this or these visualizations together with summary number visualizations together, and this hopefully will be helpful. Now, what we currently can see is that we already have 3 freeform tables. These charts or graphs are based on, I want to remind you that the very first summary number is based on also a separate freeform table. So basically in our current projects we have 3 freeform tables. And you may have a question, is it possible to design this project the way that there will be single source, one freeform table, so that it will be easy to manage this project, and obviously it will be better to have less elements within this workspace? And the answer, yes, it's possible. And my next part of this training is to show you how you can do the same but with a single free form table. Before showing you that method, I just want to quickly remind you that I have a few video courses, and one of them is called Adobe Launch Implementation Mastery Course. If you are or your friends are analytics developers and you want to learn how to implement tags with Adobe Launch, this is a course that I would recommend for you. Another course that I have is for those who implement Adobe Analytics, and the course is purely dedicated to configuration of report suites, where I explain all the settings so that if you need to configure or manage report suite, this course will be very helpful for you. And also want to remind you that I have developed an extension for Google Chrome browser that is called Adobe Experience Cloud Bookmarks, and that extension is very helpful to simplify the navigation between different solutions and also between different cloud organizations you have access to. So just in a matter of single click you can reach the right solution of the right cloud. If you haven't installed it yet, I advise you to try. All the links will be under this video. So now let's continue with this project with the day counter. So how to make a single freeform table to show all these summary numbers and bullet visualizations. Let's try to first build one from scratch. I will make a duplicate from one of the visualizations first, as a much quicker method to build something from scratch. I will name it. So let's say all numbers in one table. So what I can do in this case, we already have two custom date ranges. One of them is to show how many days have passed, and another one to show how many days left till the end of activity. And now what I can try to do is break down days under the start of the activity by the custom date range that we set for the second part of the activity. This is why I'm going to drop the custom dimension today till 3rd of August to May 15th. Doesn't matter what actually value will be here. And now I will repeat the same method and will break down the new custom dimension by day. And now what I expect to see there is 56, which will stand for the second part of the activity or campaign. So now, as you see, we have two numbers in one freeform table that we can use in our visualizations. So 25 is here and 56 is here. So now I also want to have a number that will show me 81, which is our full date range that we need to pick up for this visualization. So how to do that? In general, there is no way, immediate way how you can add this to the project, but we will use the same method as we used for the first part and the second part of the activity or campaign. So we will add just another custom date range, and in this case the custom date range should include the full date range of our campaign. So I will set it to fixed days. In the first part I will set 15th of May, and the end date will be set to 3rd of August, and also we'll name it the same way. Actually it will be named it, the title will be exactly the one that I want. Probably the only difference is that I prefer to have days, then months, and then year. This is why I will rename it anyway. And let's repeat the same steps, break down the day by this custom date range, and then again break down the custom date range by day. And now we have 81. So now we are ready to map all our previous visualizations to this table. I won't show you how to do that. Hopefully you can do this by yourself. Just select the cell, then lock the visualization, and repeat it for every visualization. I also want to show you another way how you can visualize how many days have left and how many days have passed. So in this case I will be using the visualization called donut, and this time to show the numbers I will just select 25 and 56, and this will show me not only the days that I want to see but also total, because this is how the donut visualization works. Now we can see that 25 is the number of days that has passed through from the very beginning of the activity or campaign, and 56 stands for the number of days that left till the end of the activity. And we also have percentages. So if we hover our mouse cursor over each of the segments, we can see the exact absolute numbers, but by default we can just recognize that 30% of the length of our media campaign is the current status, and 70% is the left part. However, when we look at this donut diagram, it's hardly possible to interpret it, because if you take a look at the legend, we just see the dates. It's not clear what it is. The trick here is to rename these values in the legend so that we will add context and we will help our colleagues, and will also help ourselves to properly read this diagram. So right click and edit label, basically the name of this point. So this will be days left, and this will be days past. So now it's much easier to understand what this diagram is about. For simplicity, I will call it days past and left. So now we have another type of diagram that we can use with our project. We'll also hide the tables, right? And there is one more diagram that I want to show you today. So in this donut diagram, you can see how many days have passed and left, but sometimes it's much easier or probably more convenient to use horizontal bar, where you can see the whole bar as 81 and 25 and 56 as let's say different colors within that bar. How you can do that? So let's try first to add the horizontal bar, and you can see that instead of one bar there will be two bars, which is actually not what we are looking for. Let's try to replace this horizontal bar with stacked one, but nothing has changed. And this is kind of a challenge, because these bar visualizations work the way that every bar is one row in the table. Since now we have two cells or two rows, we will always see two bars in this type of diagram. Now we want to have only one diagram, or sorry, only one bar, and this is why we need to completely rebuild our freeform table, the source for this diagram. And this freeform table should look as a single row, but with several columns. Basically, what we need to achieve is one column will show us days past, and the second column will show us days left. However, as you can see in our freeform table, this is something that is completely different, so we can't do that. So you may have an idea, what if we will add these custom date ranges under the metric, and maybe this will show us what we really need. So let's try to do that. I will add a copy of this table. We'll place it on the right hand side so that it will be easier for us to see the difference. And what I'm going to do is, first I will delete all the dimensions from this table, and then we'll add the custom date range that includes all the days, and then we'll add, for example, the first part of our date range, and we'll add also days. So now you can see that it shows us 81 even if we check the box or uncheck the box, so it still shows us not the values that we are looking for. Let's try to break it down. Let's just replace the primary dimension today, and again it shows us not what we really wanted. So this is the challenge, and now I'm going to explain you how you can build the table the way that there will be different columns showing us either 56 or 25 as values. This is quite advanced level, I would say, and this would require us to create another metric, calculated metric. But before that, I want to explain you the method, the logic that we want to use to reach the desired result. The logic is the following. Currently, our freeform table includes all the days, so 81 days, as you can see. And we can't count them because it always will be 81. But what we can do is to have a trick. Imagine that only days that have passed from the beginning of the activity will have 1. And if we count all ones in the table, we will get the exact number of days that have been passed. So basically this will be 25. And there is a method how you can do this with functions. So basically the first step is to have this table populated with 1 for the days that are before today or today. And then we will add another column that will show 1 next to the days that either tomorrow or before the end of our activity campaign, which is in our case 3rd of August. So hopefully this makes sense. And then we need to sum all ones in every column. So since we will have 25 rows with 1 in the first column, this will show us as a which will show us 25 as the summary. And the same for the second column, where we'll have 56 rows with the value of 1. So maybe this is quite confusing, but stay tuned. I'm going to show it to you. It will be very easy. Probably it's very difficult to explain, but it's very easy to do. So first what we need to do is to go to Calculated Metrics Builder, and let's look at some of the functions. And the function is called count. So let's read what it has as a description. The function will return the sum of all rows that have non-zero values. For example, if we set 1 to each row, we will get the exact number we are looking for. So let's first find out how it works, because it's always difficult to understand from the description. And I'm going to just call it count function so that it will be clear for you how it works. And then the metric. So the metric basically can be any metric, but in our case I will add just a static number, and I will add this as 1. Let's save it and see how it works in real analysis or project. So I will add this function, and now you can see that we have 81 because for every row we returned 1. So now if we update it and say it's 0, now see what will happen. Now it returns 0. So hopefully now you better understand what I'm trying to do next. I'm trying to build the metric with 1 for those days, for those rows that are from 15th of May till today. So the question is how to do that. Let me go back to this calculated metric, and I will show you another function that we will be using today. The function or condition is called if. The if means that we need to evaluate something, and if this returns true, then the value is set to, for example, 1. Otherwise, it will be set to 0. Okay, so what now we want to do? We want to dynamically set this metric either to 1 or to 0. So how we will need to approach that? So first, again, I will add count as a function. Within that function, I will add the function if. And now we need to understand what we want to use as a logical test. How can we understand that this is the day that either today or before today? The simple answer is, if something has been sent to analytics, this is either today or yesterday. If we talk about the days like tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, which are in the future, obviously there is no data for these days in analytics by design. It's not possible. You can't upload anything which hasn't happened yet. This is why basically we may want to count number of any metrics. In our case, I will be using the metric occurrences, because every time when something is sent to Adobe Analytics from either a website or from mobile application, this will increment the occurrences. It's not the only metric that you may want to use. There are also metrics like custom link instances, exit link instances, download link instances. If you have different type of integrations with Adobe Analytics, there may be some other instances. But in most of the cases, in absolutely universal approach is to use the occurrences. Because if you have something on your digital property captured, then this will increment occurrences. Hopefully this is clear. So basically, if occurrences is 1 or higher, then this logical test will return true. If this is 0, basically tomorrow number of occurrences will be 0. This will return false, because false is also like a 0. And this can be used as our logical test. Now, if this is the day where we observe some number of occurrences, we will return 1 as a static number. And if this is not, we will return 0. Okay. And for simplicity, I will call it count if, so that you will follow. We will rename this metric afterwards. And let's save it. So now I will add this metric. Sorry, it's already added. And we can see 25 for everything. And this 25 matches the number of days passed. Probably this is still quite confusing for you why this is happening. And this is why I want to explain it to you. Probably this is what I had to start with a more simple example. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add another metric, which will be just either 1 or 0 without count. And I will call it if occurrences, and I will add it next to the previous metric so that you will see how they work together. I hope this will be much clearer for those of you who may not have much experience with advanced metrics. So, as you see, for the days that are either in the past or today, we have 1. For the days that are in the future, we have 0, right? This is the if function. Then we added this if function inside the count function. And now this second metric returns us the sum of rows that are set to 1, right? So these green rows are counted, and 25 represents the sum of these rows. Hopefully now it's clear. And as you already may guess, we need to repeat the same count. We need to create another count metric, but in this case it should count the other rows. The challenge is that that function count can sum only those rows that have 1 as a value. This is why we just need to slightly update the logic. So in this case, we will just replace 1 with 0 and 0 with 1. It's just like an opposite. We will reverse the logic. And I will call it as just another metric, so that we will have both. And we'll add it to the Freeform table. And voila, now you can see 56. So hope this logic now is absolutely clear for you, and I'm going to get rid of the metrics that we don't need and rename the metrics so that they will make sense for us. So I will rename the first metric as days passed. And the second one I will rename as days left. There you go. And now let's map our horizontal bar to our new Freeform table. And I will select two cells that I wanted to represent in this horizontal bar, and will switch the type of this visualization to the stacked one. And now you see how this looks. Now we have one bar that has a length of 81, and it's broken down into two areas. One area stands for number of days passed, the second for number of days left. In ideal situation, this has to be slightly tuned, because if you want to have, for example, donut chart together with this horizontal bar stack chart, you see that they do not match accurately in terms of the color, because on the left diagram 56 is highlighted with green color. On the right visualization, this is highlighted with blue color. And this is very easy to fix. We just need to change the sequence of these metrics in the table, and now it should work absolutely fine. So now it works much better. So what we can do now is to, as usual, make some tuning. I will also call it days passed and left, and let's also update it a little. So I will delete the legend. No, I won't delete the legend, because with the legend it's much better. So days left and days passed. So now it works. Cool, good. And as usual, I will lock these two visualizations and also delete the data source, hide the data source. Now, a few words about this stacked visualization and the mechanic behind it. As you know, this is based on the occurrences metric, and if you have a big website and the traffic volume is quite high and stable, which is even more important, then you can use this method always. It will always work. However, if you have a small site and potentially it's possible that during a certain day there will be no traffic at all, never use this type of mechanic, because in this case the number of occurrences will return 0 for a certain day, and as a result of that the number of days will be counted with a mistake. So this method with the occurrences can be used only for the sites where you have significant traffic volume, and what is more important, the traffic volume is stable. You every day expect at least I don't know, thousands or probably hundreds of occurrences to be captured. If you doubt that there may be less than 100 occurrences per day, maybe this is something that you may want to avoid as a method. Anyway, this is everything that I wanted to show you today, and just to sum up, now you know how to count days between two dates and how to visualize this in different forms, in different type of visualizations. And now just select the visualizations that you prefer and use them in your own projects in Analysis Workspace. If you have any other methods, I will be happy to hear from you. Please share this in comments. Also share if this is something that you liked and you have a plan to try this to incorporate in your own projects, reports, whatever you share. I'm always happy to hear it. And if this was helpful, also please tell me that, so that I will know that this is not something that will never be used. I'm always happy to hear from you, from my students, that the methods, algorithms, approaches that I share with you make sense for you and make your everyday work more interesting and easier. And also, if you have any other ideas about what you want to learn, please share this in the comments, because all the trainings, all the video episodes I always record, keeping in mind your requests, wishes, and your feedbacks. Okay, this is it. Thank you very much for watching this training, and I wish you have a good day, and talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, my name is Andrei Osachuk. I am an Adobe Analytics consultant. I have worked with Adobe Analytics, formerly Omniture Site Catalyst, for more than 9 years and implemented it for about 100 of B2C and B2B projects since 2008. Last year, I founded online courses to help my students learn and practice in Adobe Analytics. We work together on solution architecture based on business requirements, implement Adobe DTM and launch, configure analytics report suites, set up reporting, and do data analysis while looking for insights. As you are watching this video, you are likely familiar with my YouTube channel, where I share my experience and best practices. Today I'm happy to announce my new video course for analytics developers, architects, and administrators that is called Report Suite Configuration in Adobe Analytics. This course will be helpful for everyone who wants to become a professional in Adobe Analytics. And it's also recommended for those who want to plan to get certified on Analytics Architect and Analytics Developer. Even if you haven't had any experience with setting up a report suite, I guarantee you will be able to create and configure a new report suite within 2 days. The course consists of 31 videos and covers all settings of the report suite manager. In each video, I explain the purpose of the setting, give you examples, and share my best practices for configuration. It will take you about a day to watch all videos and another day to set up a report suite following the guidance. I know that questions appear while doing. You may have an experience that after attending a webinar or a training course, you had many questions. Perhaps you had a very specific situation that wasn't covered on that webinar, and then you felt you didn't reach the desired goal as the course didn't help you accomplish what you wanted. This is why I support my students with their questions while and after the training. Everyone who will sign up for this course will be able to contact me directly. So if you have a question on Report Suite configuration after watching this video course, you can contact me and I will help you. Additionally, I give 30 minutes to every student for personal consultation on Adobe Experience Cloud for free. We can discuss your questions on Analytics, Target, Audience Manager, DTM and Launch, and other solutions I'm specializing on as a multi-solution architect. Sign up for this course to become a professional in Adobe Analytics. Talk to you soon. Hi, my name is Andrei Osachuk. I am a multi-solution architect and consultant on Adobe Analytics, Target, Audience Manager, DTM, and Launch. I began to implement Adobe solutions 9 years ago. Since that time, I have deployed about 100 of B2C and B2B projects. 10 years ago, tag managers were considered an innovation. At that time, all tag implementations were managed as standalone JavaScript libraries and lots of custom code all over the site pages. Today it's hardly possible to imagine how to manage dozens of tags and conversion pixels without a tag management solution. In the past, I actively used Adobe Dynamic Tag Management for tags implementation for small, medium, and large projects. As time goes by, Adobe now offers a new cutting-edge platform for implementing any type of tag on web and mobile. And this is Adobe Launch, also known as Launch by Adobe. Today I'm happy to announce my new Adobe Launch Implementation Mastery course for analytics developers and those who want to learn how to implement tags with Adobe Launch. This course will be helpful for those who have never used Adobe Launch as well as for those who have just started and want to enhance their skills and experience. The course consists of 28 videos and covers all capabilities of Adobe Launch that are essential for the solution implementation and its usage. I built the course with various scenarios commonly used in the implementation practice, so you will get required practical skills that will allow you to build your own implementation right after the course. The scenarios include banner performance measurement, form tracking, single-page application, and other. It will take you about 2 days to complete the full course and get to know all essential components of Adobe Launch. After its completion, you will be able to implement Adobe Launch and any tag or conversion pixel on the website. For those who do not have a test website for self-training, I will create a copy of the website this video course is built on with your own Adobe Launch library implemented, so you can do all exercises demonstrated in this course. To make sure that you are happy and satisfied with the course, I include one individual online training on Adobe Launch with me personally at no extra cost. You will be able to raise all your outstanding questions. Sign up for the Mastery course today to become a professional in Adobe Launch. Talk to you soon.